cockatoo, cockatoo.
Cockatoo at you.
Yeah.
Think music. Yeah.
At any given moment, your ball can stop shining. So why every time
Lights
around
out.
core wire that's unwinding? It's more about the searching the secrets that you think you finding. And timing about defending your zone like Bud Ryan. Your passion is your passport to the Parthenon. To be born to go light is the path we on. Join us. Journey to the other side, where hormones and sweet chariots ride, where planet stars, comets and asteroids collide. I'm so far out that I enter the inside of the inner circle. My coat purple, I decode dreams and blow violet, drink tea just herbal. Instead of running on wheels like gerbil, a hamster, I dare you to break glass like a crack bong in Amster. Damn. Jean-Claude Van Damme, windmill, kick snare, 1-2 am. I clear two bus, flow like Hoover Dam. King Henry in your lobbies and reporters, haters and fans. I'm on cocky standing G-stars, gators with callous hands. Damn it, feeling like a man who can take pink party meat and spam and turn it into 5-star dinner. A winner since a beginner, she is all wrapped up in my tenor. I'm a 10, she the ace too. Now we 20 proof when I'm in booth. 100 degrees Celsius true. Spit the slight gap too. Squeeze grapes, drink juice. Then we produce something sonically amazing when it's set loose. Reporting live from the other side dressed in wetsuits. Occultum, tall black, 5 spikes. The Cooper's no ho hum. 6 liters will move you fast when there's no dice.
Cockatoo, cockatoo, cockatoo at you.
Instead of chitter chatter, listen to the pitter patter of your cardiovascular. It shapes all the matter. The energy is singular and then it splits and scatters your dart to become the pitcher catcher in battle. I profess to know nothing, cause it's more I'm after. The reactor chose to step back and become the actor. The attitude and aptitude of an addict who fiend for God food. So please show gratitude, cause it elevate your altitude. A rap is packaged in Boet, then deliver it to you. My back is stronger, Boet, then give her this issue to you. Wanna step inside this mad mind and maritime for Pepperdine to Palestine? I handle mine, then confide in confidant so we all can shine. Slow motion but show motion, nickels and dimes. Soon become the bag we refuse to lie supine. You shouldn't either, let's go grind till we out of time. And intertwine with the divine like a serpent wrapped around the shit I'm tree. So when I write my next rhymes, I do it only with my mind with no speaking. The word will just vibrate the real that you seeking.
Think music.
Peace, peace. I don't know why my camera looks a little fuzzy. Oh well, we're gonna make the most of it. I don't know what's the deal. Strange things going on with technology these days. Can y'all hear me? Peace. Mic check. 1 2. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I don't know what's wrong with my camera, but 1 2. Let me know something in the comment section, please. Peace, Sage. Peace, Shadowfly. Y'all give me a 1 or something if you can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you, Shadowfly. Okay, so yeah. I have nothing prepared. Like, thank you, Sage. I have no notes or anything. I just said if I don't get back on here, I may never get back on here. So I figured I'd get on here tonight because such a volatile period that we're in. Thank you, Tamara. So, for those of you all who are keeping up with things, you know that the nodal axis and transiting Uranus are applying in a square. They're applying to perfection, and that square perfects, I think, sometime tomorrow. So Uranus squaring the nodal axis, and as we are speaking, the moon is involved in that configuration as it's in Virgo, conjunct the south node, but of course that'll move on. But the big show is Uranus squaring the nodes. And I just wanted to kind of chime in on that. But before we get started, look, you see the banner down there. And last minute Jamal here, but tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Central. Let me make sure I got the time right. 9 p.m. Central. I think the chat will open up at 8:30 though. 9 p.m. Central, we're going to be on Bandcamp. Now, see, this is what I want y'all to do. Those of y'all who rock with me, who've been rocking with me, I want you to see that link is there where see the link there. But in the description, I've got the link as well. I want you to go and RSVP at Think Music, okay, for the Dominance Hierarchy Listening Party. It's tomorrow at 9 p.m. That's June 19th, 2026, 9 p.m. Our listening party is free, but we just want to have our art out there into the ethers. And in a time that we're living in where just what the essence of what it is to be a spirit that is inhabiting a human vessel and having a human experience, we're approaching a climactic moment in the attempt to prevent the natural flow of spirit discovering itself through the human condition by eliminating the human condition, the feel, the rhythm, hold on for a second. All right. I'll be right back. Got to open the door for one of my babies. Oh, it's all right, honey. All right. Mic check. I'm back. Hopefully my sound's still working. And this is the perfect introduction to the conversation. This is Uranus squaring the nodes. And this what it is. This is what we're going to start. People like myself get online and we talk, right? And we give out knowledge. Sometimes we give advice. Sometimes we do coaching or whatever, or guidance. And the time we're in now is if you aren't really living what you say, then it's like the price to pay is much higher, right? Because everything is coming out now. It is part of the reason that I am not online as often as I would like to be is because of actually living what I talk about. Like, it's hard to parent. It's hard. It's time consuming. It's energy consuming. And if you don't do it in this manner, meaning the young ones, you can stick a tablet in their face and that tablet will keep them out of your ears, out of your hair for at least a couple of hours in each stint. But what if here's the thing, but when you know the danger of letting the child sit there on a tablet and allowing YouTube to have access to them, allowing Netflix to have access to them, allowing television to have access to them, and you don't know what all they're coming across, subliminals and all types of things that have access to their subconscious mind, just so you can get a break and maybe record a video or get some things done around the house, or or even just as a couple to sit down and talk in peace. So knowing what you know, you can't take that easy way out, the easy route, because you know too much. And once you know too much, you are then you have extra responsibility and karma for you knowing the potential dangers, and you still walk down that path. So then you have to find other ways, and that's what that's like you really having to parent, you having to really spend time or really come up with activities. And that's what I mean about you either suffer on the front end acutely or you suffer on the back end chronically. And this might not make sense but it will make sense. I have had so many things going in these little past couple of months. My mind has been inundated with so many thoughts, so many uploads, so many just traffic in my mind, and with so much that it hit me. I say, this how I come to the conclusion when I'm going to write a book, because it's so much I got to get it out. And so now I've started, and I've been for years kind of frustrated, like, when am I going to write the next book? Like, not a small book, but the book. Like when I wrote this, I don't know if some of you all don't know, I wrote this book. I put this book out 8 years ago. It's called The Lies Behind the Tides, The Keys to Higher Consciousness. Crazy title. Subtitle don't really go with the title at face value, but it does metaphysically. So I've been waiting to put another one. This book is about 200, almost 300 pages, right? So I put this book out. I was like, when is it going to be time for me to write the next one? And it's now, in the midst of chaos, and not a bad chaos. It's a good chaos. We got a lot of change going on in my family, and it's good change, But in the midst of all this, it hit me, start writing this book. Wow, I got all this stuff, children going here and there, and a million different things, and still understanding you can't capitulate. You can't just allow, you can't take the easy way out. And then this book, I'm going deep into the concept of suffering. And if you got my little booklet that I put out in my bundle, 2020 and the World to Come, right? I put this little bundle. See, all these little things were leading up to eventually the book, the next book. And so I touch on the theme of suffering in here. And I relate it to the zero, and how zero traces back to Sifr in Arabic, and Sifr then phonetically correlates to suffer, and suffer becomes usfur, and usfur is gold, and the suffering produces the gold. So I laid kind of the foundation, but this is going deeper, way deeper. It's bringing in how certain planets are associated with suffering, right? And the point of all this is, I'm suffering right now. Now, but not to be misconstrued, like to say this is, I'm crying out. I am suffering willingly, and in different ways I'm suffering. See, when I used to be a competitive bodybuilder, the secret to being in better shape is your willingness to suffer. The more grueling you can make your cardio, the more you adhere to your diet, and don't even have a small little smidgen of a cheat right here or there, the more you dial in on your workouts, all suffering, because you're tired, you're irritable, you're starving. Some days you're on an emotional roller coaster. You're suffering. But what you learn in that process is that your willingness to suffer, the measure that you're willing to suffer, is relative to the rewards you receive. Now, not to be misconstrued with suffering with some type of masochism, or where I just pain. Not that. We're talking about suffering for a purpose. And we're talking about temporary suffering for long-term success, versus the avoidance which leads to long-term or chronic suffering. The more that you try to avoid suffering, the more you condemn yourself to long-term suffering. Right? And so when I say I'm suffering, it's not for anybody to feel sorry. It's self-induced. It's self-induced suffering because I figured out an equation for winning a long time ago. It was suffering. Football, it was suffering. Go to the track, 90-degree weather. My mother's got the stopwatch. She lets me know we had to take an 800-meter test every football season. The linemen had a certain time they had to make, running backs, receivers, everybody had based on your position. And I hate running, but I knew I had to go over there and do it. Nobody standing over me, nobody forcing me. I got to go and do it. Suffering. And part of that is being born with so many squares in my chart, and especially having Saturn opposite my sun. Suffering. All of not all, but a great deal of powerful feminine figures in the Bible who give birth to powerful masculine figures go through a period of being barren. Sarah is barren almost towards the end of her life before giving birth to Isaac. And we know these are allegories, but and that's what we're speaking in. Okay. We're not being literal here. Rebecca is barren before she gives birth to Jacob and Esau. Manoah's wife is barren. They don't give her name before giving birth to Samson. Elizabeth is barren before giving birth to John the Baptist. And the barrenness is Saturn. It's Binah in Kabbalah. Every time a woman has a cycle, her eggs are flushed out. She becomes barren. And that is what allows her to bear fruit. Because of having to go through that, she's able to carry a child. And that is suffering that we don't even recognize. That's a simple example of suffering is encoded into this reality. And when you come to terms with it and stop trying to run from it and stop trying to figure out a way that you can avoid it or bypass it and fool yourself and be delusional, then the more you gain power in this reality. I said this long time ago. And somebody put in the comment like, pain is. I said pain is the ultimate teacher. It was funny in the Mario movie, King Koopa, I think. Pain is the ultimate teacher, and that's a very Saturnian phrase there. Also Pluto. That's a Pluto and Saturn. But you think about it. Pluto makes us see what we want to ignore. Saturn makes us endure what we want to run from. And until you acknowledge what you don't want to see and you stop trying to bypass and skip steps, you will have endless suffering. The more you try to avoid it, the more you attach yourself to it. And so the suffering I'm enduring is all based on winning. It's based on winning. You take on these tasks. Why would you try to start writing a book right now? Well, this is part of the gift of studying astrology. Is that when you progress your chart, and there's different ways you can progress your chart, you see that the energy is naturally flowing for certain things. And that chaos is the ultimate progenitor of all realities. Chaos. Chaos is the highest magic because chaos simply means that all timelines, all potentials converging in one space. And what you determine that you want to crystallize through the focalizing of your attention is what will bring order out of the chaos. So you go into that. You go into the chaos so you can pull a new order out of it because the order is already there. The order is already inherently present in the chaos. But the order would no longer exist if it did not have the ability to disintegrate so that it can reorganize. And this is not some crazy, this is why do our cells, every 7 years, your body's almost remaking itself. Thing in our reality is building up, tearing down, building up, tearing down. Food is built up. The sun is broken down, then is built back up into whatever is animal or plant. It is sunlight that has been broken down and been built back up into something for you to consume it and then break it down. And then within you, you build it back up, and everything is chaos. Things are being built up and destroyed, built and destroyed. And that's why we are learning in this time dispensation, especially with this Uranus applying to the nodes, we're learning how to be allostatic. Now, we often hear about homeostasis. Homeostasis. And we're learning now that what's more important is allostasis. Homeo means everything's just static. And that ain't life. There's never a point where you just, if you remember the old seesaws when we were kid, how hard it is to just try to keep the seesaw right in the middle. It's always got to be moving, right? And that's allostasis, the ability to flow with the natural ebb and flow of this reality. Adapt, change. The people who struggle the most in this historical timeline are those who refuse to adapt and change and grow. This energy of Uranus squaring the nodes is about you create your own suffering through you doing the work to change and grow before something is thrust upon you that might create a situation to where it's too late for you to try to change and grow. And that is what creates the prolonged suffering. It's better to be on the offensive or be proactive, and you be the author of your acute suffering or momentary or temporary suffering by you being aware of what you need to learn and change. Uranus and Gemini is about devices coming online. But those devices need to have the proper hardware and software. And you get these computers, they're always saying it's about to go through an upgrade, or we're gonna shut down and blah blah blah. And so they're constantly upgrading. You go on to get on the app. Oh, you got to go and upgrade this app, or I can't remember the other names they call it, but you got to go back and let them check all the bugs and whatever. Update. That's the thing. Update, not upgrade. Update. Uranus and Gemini is about us updating our minds. The earth has a nervous system. There's a nervous system in the cosmos. We have a nervous system, and we are getting new data points, not artificially, but anciently uploaded, but the system has to be able to receive it. So we got to be willing vessels by updating our own software. Okay, I wasn't looking. Let me see. Faye said, does Pluto include speculations? Speculations. Well, I don't know if I would give Pluto speculation. Now, Pluto does deal, if we talk about money, Pluto in one aspect deals with wealth, right? But speculation, I would almost give speculation. To me, that's Leo. Because speculation is also gambling, and that I would associate that with a fifth house type of archetype. But that's just me guessing, because I don't really, speculation. Let me think about that. Speculation. Yeah, I would think that's a fifth house Leo association. Because to me, I think of speculation as gambling. I think about betting, speculating, gambling. I don't know if that's where you were going with that, Faye. Maybe you tell me, give me some more of what you meant by that. Peace to everybody coming in. Jupiter, agriculture and commodities. Well, when you say agriculture, now that to me that's Virgo, that's Mercury, that's also Venus and Taurus. I would think of earth signs when I'm thinking of agriculture and commodities. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Saturn, and we're talking about actually taking it to the market. Virgo, all of the processes, the processing of the agriculture. Yeah. Shadowfly says Jupiter as well with speculation. Let's go to the I'm gonna see if this is in the rulership book. This is how you keep your astrological vocabulary, because sometimes if you don't use, okay, now according to them, and it ain't like this is the gospel, but they say speculation, financial, public speculation, speculators, places where speculation is held for amusement or pleasure. Fifth house, Sun, Leo. But Shadowfly, to your point, it does have, they kind of put Jupiter in parentheses. And normally when they do that in parentheses in this book, they're saying that this is like a could possibly also be related. The ones that they write outside of a parenthesis is what they're saying. Typically, there's been more agreement upon by astrologers. But, oh, you got it? Okay, cool. Glad you got it. So, yeah. Generational wealth. Oh, well, when I think of generational wealth, I think of fourth house. I also think of eighth house, though. I think of Scorpio of generational wealth because it's inheritance. Yeah, I would think eighth house, and by modern, is it not based on commodities and trade? Not necessarily. Well, you're saying generational wealth? That could be one way of acquiring it. But I think there's more avenues than just commodities and trade. But to you originally saying Pluto, though, if you look at generational wealth through an eighth house lens, which is associated naturally with Scorpio, Pluto being modern ruler of Scorpio, then I could see that. L.A. Magellan said a book saying Pluto's action brings to light things hidden in the. That's Pluto's. That's his natural archetypal expression, bringing things to light that are hidden. That ties back to the mythology. There is a level of speed that humanity is experiencing right now that I don't think we have not experienced. Gemini governs commuting, commerce, community. And if you think about commuting just in your local areas, are you seeing, we're seeing automobile accidents on the service roads down here in Texas. Like I don't know about other places, but Texas, we have highways, and then you have service roads to where you can access the businesses that run parallel to the highway. Um, and the service roads, you typically are not driving as fast. You're not supposed to be driving as fast as you do on the expressway, but people are having crazy, crazy accidents, some fatalities, crazy accidents on thoroughfares that are just going through the city, 45-mile-an-hour thoroughfare. You got these kids who pretty much drag racing out here, and it's almost like they got carte blanche, like police ain't really bothering them. It don't seem like it. So it's like we are living literally in, what's the movie that Ludacris and them were in, and what's my man um Tyrese, Fast and Furious. It's like we're literally living in it now with Uranus and Gemini. Just, it's almost, you can feel like people are being, like they're being overtaken by an energy that is like they're possessed. Um, and that energy has everything moving really fast. Time's going by fast. Um, our nervous systems, you got to think, Uranus rules over the autonomic nervous system. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, is associated with the central nervous system. So you have the potential for a fried motherboard here with Uranus and Gemini. Yes, Uranus flows better in Gemini. It's able to move like the wind, right? It's been fighting against colossal stagnation in Taurus, but it's almost been like, if you take somebody who's been starving for months, and then you take them to Golden Corral and let them eat, they're going to be sick, because it created a polar opposite. And Uranus and Gemini is almost creating a polar opposition to its energetic flow in Taurus, which was the frustration of stagnation and then sudden volatility. And then it's back to this tug of war, and there's volatility, and it's back to this. But in Gemini, it's like no holds barred. Whew. And life is moving fast, right? And we're being forced to, like I said, upgrade your software. Like, if your mind is slow right now, if you're not able to, you may find yourself too becoming a lot more frustrated with slow thinking people. I'm gonna be honest. I am like the slowness becomes more glaringly obvious, and it's like this Uranus and Gemini is creating a gulf in between worlds, and the contrast is becoming so strong and so vivid between the people whose minds are running at the speed of a turtle. Now they think they are normal, and you're like, you're looking at them, and it's almost like you're running at 120 frames per second, and they're at 29 frames per second, and it's not matching. So that there's that dynamic. So there's time moving fast. Then you have people whose Worlds are merging and colliding, and these are people that are on different timelines. You're right now, we are interacting with many people who are not on the same timeline that we're on, which is why it makes these little gatherings, I think, so important. Like I just like if I ain't gotten like I'm thinking like fuck it, I don't have to have some notes written. Like I just get on here just to check in, because man, it's hard out here. And when I say it's hard dealing with dead folk. It's hard. You got the world speeding up. The dead are getting dumber, you know, and you're in between, and you got to make sure you don't lose your mind, because you're under the greatest threat. If you don't create you a way to have a release valve. So if Uranus is in Gemini and the nodes are in Pisces and Virgo, somebody tell me in the comments, where is the natural release valve? I'm gonna say it again. Uranus is in Gemini. The square to the nodes will become partile tomorrow, the 19th, somewhere in there. If Uranus in Gemini squares the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, thank you, Shadowfly. Thank you. That's the release valve. That's the release valve. Now, somebody else tell me, what is Sagittarius? There you go, MC. Somebody else tell me, what does Sagittarius, what are some of the keywords that we associate with Sagittarius? Because what we're figuring out is, how do we manage this energy? We said we got to update our software, right? Okay, there's one. Progress, Sagittarius. Y'all, come on, give me some more. Forward thinking, higher mind. Okay, all good. So we got progress, forward thinking, higher mind. Again, we're talking about Sagittarius keywords because this is the release valve. What's your higher mind? What's your higher truth? Travel, philosophy. Yes. Okay, I want to talk about the travel one. Okay, philosophical again. Okay, good. Law. Let's stop right there. Now y'all can keep going. Y'all can keep listing stuff, but I want to hang my hat on that one right there. Law. Law. You know, Jupiter gives given rulership of Sagittarius, but everybody should be acquainted with a goddess by the name of Themis. 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 Okay. Oh, Artemis. Okay. Quite Aquarian. Okay. Themis is the goddess of law and rhythm. And from Themis, we get the word thesis. Chiron. Oh, you're cooking. You're cooking. Okay. Truth, freedom. Yes. Law. So, what is the law will also be the truth. Okay. So, the release valve for this T-square between Uranus and the nodal axis is your truth. Some people have found a truth, and I'm saying a and not the, because your truth may, but some people operate in this world with no truth. Not even if it's a truth. They don't even have a truth. But here's the paradox. Many of them think they have the truth. But whatever is your truth, whatever is your law, what is your philosophy, what is the mind above your carnal involved mind? What's the one that functions above that? That's the release valve right now. And I'm going to give you another word that aligns. Faith. Faith. People think it's a religious word. Faith means fidelity. And if you have your law and your truth, it is what you can trust in. Fidelity means trust. You put your trust in your law. And you don't allow other people to convince you otherwise. Chiron ties in because Chiron and Jupiter are Chiron and Sagittarius are centaur energies, and Chiron is looking for the truth. That's the wound. The wound is the truth that is burning to be found. And the pain is the quest for the truth. That's where the pain is coming from. And so this is what you got to, this is what your church is. Sagittarius is your church. Your church as in Kirk or circle, your circle. And what happens is that this energy right here is that next month, Jupiter, which rules over Sagittarius, will move into what's called Burbalt's basket. And it's going to move into Leo. And it's going to harmonize with Uranus. And Neptune while opposing Pluto. And we don't have any other time in history that astrologers have been able to identify this configuration happening. And this configuration is all in masculine, outwardly expressing signs. Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, Leo. So what is in you, which is the feminine? What is in you truly is what is being expressed and what is coming out. Which is why we're releasing this album, for us personally, why we're releasing this album on June 20th on the solstice, just 10 days before Jupiter makes its ingress into Leo, because it is releasing what has been hidden in the cave, any caverns, any hidden inner sanctum, sanctuary, tunnels, all those things denote the feminine. And so what's being pulled out is something that we have not seen. At least the world ain't seen it. Now, you've been knowing it because you've been sitting with it, right? But the world has not known it. And this energy feels like the opening of garage doors, huge garage doors. And it's like these highly precise engine sports cars have been sitting in this garage. And people have been walking down the street, and every now and then they hear a little revving of the engine, or, the mechanic's been in there tinkering, but they ain't been able to see it. But this configuration is the garage doors open. Now they're like, oh shit. That thing got 550 horses. That thing got 600 horsepower. Oh my God. That's what this energy feels like. And the fruit that represents this is pomegranate. Pomegranate. Get you some pomegranate. Get you some pomegranate. Pomegranate is associated with Persephone, which ties back to Pluto, right? There's a shift. It is time for Persephone to come above ground. She has to spend 3 months in Tartarus, and she spends the other 9 above ground. And the reason she had to take this deal is because it was claimed that she ate pomegranate before she came back up. If you go and read the scripture, Old Testament Exodus, for one, and I think it's in Kings, you find the rimmon, the pomegranate. The hem of the garment must be made of blue and purple and violet pomegranate. What is this really alluding to? Cut the pomegranate open and look at it. All of the precious fruit is hidden on the inside. And it's unique to other fruits in that they have seeds, but it's not really, you got the seeds, but you spit those out, whatever. But the pomegranate, the seed is the fruit. So the pomegranate represents the Hieros Gamos, the merging of the masculine and the feminine, because the masculine is the seed, but it's also the fruit. It's not discarded. It is the show. You don't eat the fruit and spit out these seeds. The seed is the fruit. And I feel like that's where we're moving. That's where we at. It's time to come above ground. Your truth is your guiding light. You're standing on it like King Kong right now. Art. Art. Art is very important. Art. We need to have the art that captures these moments that we are in right now. What will be the color of this time in history? What will be the sound? What sounds did this produce? What visual artistry? What prose? What poetry? What octaves from the throat chakra were produced? What type of movements as the body attempts to move with this energy that's moving it and this allostatic back and forth? What dances come out of it? What sounds are being heard in the ear that's like you hearing it, and then you gotta, for my beat makers, you gotta tap it out on the machine, or you gotta you gotta translate that from the ear to this device. What music is coming from the spheres right now? And how is it being uploaded through us? We have to have our hard and software ready to receive so that we can express it. I strongly believe art is the battlefield, or one of them, one of the greater battlefields right now. So we're gonna take a break here. Now look, those of you all who've been like Faye been around since the Masters of the Cosmos days, right? So Faye knows about this book right here. This book will tell you a lot about what we're in right now. And I'm not gonna mess these up. I'm gonna get my I have a copy that's my copy for study. This is my copy for study. You see, it's torn up. So I'm studying my own book. Let's see if I can go back to. I got a section in here called Education, Punishment, and Religion, Handmaidens of Capitalism. So this book is it's like historical, metaphysical. Let me see if I can pick out a part in here. That kind of shows how we've already been leading up to this. Let's see. I want to go. This is, I'm in the 1500s here. I want to go up to. I want to say this as I'm looking for this. What I talk about a lot in this book is the industrial revolution and industrial era, right? And education in this period, we're talking in the mid to late 18th century, that's the 1700s. Education was necessary for basic reading and writing because children were being prepared to work in industry, right? This is also around the time as Pluto is in Aquarius the last time. Where we are now, what we need to understand collectively, we are in a cycle. Ooh, as I'm speaking, Chiron is at 0 degrees, 0 minutes, making its ingress into Taurus, and then applying T-square to Pluto and Venus. My, oh my, what a dynamic time this is. Chiron into Taurus. The truth around self-worth. Searching for the truth beyond money and finances. Searching for the truth around self-worth. So that's for that generation with Chiron and Taurus. I want to but what happened was the difference between that time and now is that what's being reflected is that your humanity is no longer needed to run industry. It's not what's needed. You're needed to fuel humanity is needed only as a food source now. That's the difference between then and now. What the message that's going out is that you're no longer needed for industry. And people are trying to fight to hang on, right? That's why the school systems are changing so rapidly now, because people are not getting the message. They're saying we don't need you anymore. Schools shutting down in Texas, wholesale. You know, Texas got terrible education anyway. Shutting down left and right. And people are on there protesting like, and you got to go back and study history. Around this time, late 1700s, Pluto is making its early into Aquarius. The way the schools started is people were in communities. You had a dame school, community school, but they were tinkering. They were tinkering to figure out how to pull. And what they did was they pulled the people out of the homes. They did away with the craftsmen. They created industry, manufacturing. You don't need to be a craftsman anymore. And then you create these economical shifts. You create a Federal Reserve, 1791, right? All these things are calculated. And then what happens then, the man gets pulled out of the home. You tinker with the economy to where the woman gets pulled out. Now you need somebody to take care of these children. So then there's a school. But then it's like, we can use them too. So then we just need to teach them just enough so they can be useful too in the factory. And now, 250 roughly years later, as everyone's celebrating the 250th year of the, you know, data centers everywhere. We need access to the inner sanctum. They want access to your pomegranates. Let me see. I talked about prison reform in here. Let's see. I'll read a little something. I'm trying to give it context though. See, the educational system that we have today was born also at the same time as the reformed prison system, because up until that time in the 1700s, you get your Sunday best on and you go to the town square and watch somebody get drawn and quartered, or tarred and feathered, or get beheaded, so they try to become more civilized. And that's where our prison reform comes in. Worthy of mention is the fact that different philosophical schools of thought emerged in regard to the subject of punishment. One group viewed punishment as a necessary cause and effect mechanism. Those guilty of committing crimes deserve their punishments. The school of thought would be associated with the proponents of retribution. Another group, though, would argue that punishment was a necessary evil to be used as a mechanism to deter further crime and to rehabilitate offenders. They were labeled utilitarian. So you always got to have two to create this duality. Retribution amounts to a mundane yin and yang balancing act, attempting to meet one particular force with a counter as a means of restoring balance. This school of thought relies on the acceptance of the social contract. Now, this term social contract is important because this also ties into the schools that were developing at this time. This was a foundation for public schooling. Okay. The social contract, which speaks to a give and take outlook of society, where its members give up certain individual freedoms in order to maintain a degree of protection and order. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? Give and take outlook of society, where its members give up certain individual freedoms in order to maintain a degree of protection and order. See, I wrote this so people can see that ain't nothing new under the sun. If the contract is broken, then the levy of punishment is an understood and expected result. The supposed counter argument, the utilitarian, is essentially quite similar to the former, but fixes its rationale as viewing punishment as a mechanism, even if inherently wrong, as a necessary evil working for the greater good of the society. It claims to focus more on rehabilitating the criminal, but in programming the offender to conform, it is essentially teaching him or her to accept the social contract. The two schools created a Hegelian dialectical situation where each side only served the purpose of appearing as opposing viewpoints with the hidden intent of just magnifying a greater purpose. To clarify further, neither rationale addressed one of the essential problems that caused crime, a society designed to prey upon and take advantage of its poorer, less cultivated members. So this was the climate, right? And this is the climate that prison was born out of, and why you had to have the school system function as it did, and why religion had to function as it did, because, this is Calvinism is prominent at this time. And Calvinism is the driving force of industrialization and capitalism that grew out of it. Capitalism is Calvinism. And Calvinism purports itself to be Reformed Protestantism. It is people like Ben Franklin, who became a deist, but who comes from a Calvinist background, and who basically said you use so-called morality as far as it is necessary. A joke, just like it is today, right? So I say all that to say this is a great read just to give you historical and metaphysical insight into how we got here and why we are here, and to better navigate what we are supposed to be doing in this time. You know, even going to the Adam and Eve and, you know, metaphysical meaning of tithing. So this is the thing. We're looking to fund our next project. And what we're doing is we are putting our art out, and we want you to just come get it. On Bandcamp, our project will be available starting on the summer solstice on June 20th. Well, if you come to the listening party, it's available at that time to those who are in the listening party. And what we ask you is give what you feel the project, how it makes you feel. You feel like $10? Purchase the project off Bandcamp for $10. You feel like it's worth $100? We'll take $100. We're moving in this Aquarian flow, right? And so I already have another project that we're working on, and it's about art. It's about art. And this is what we're doing is energetic combat. We're doing energetic combat. I gotta share this. Let me give you an example. I have a friend and client in the UK named Janelle. I gotta share her website. She's in the UK. Let me finish this thought. Then I'll get to that. I used to have these on my website, Masters of the Cosmos. Okay. Masters of the Cosmos will be coming back. I still own the domain, but I took it down. To get this book is not on 720 Astrology, because this is not one of those books that is for general consumption. All right. It's can be a little offensive to certain people. All right. So this book, if you want to get it, then you email me info@720astrology.com if you want to get a copy of my book. And then I'll tell you, because basically we'll do the old fashioned way, like, you know, Cash App or something, or Zelle, and I'll get your email. And it's just because, you know, I don't like doing business like that, but it's because this book is unique. I don't have it on my site. My manifestation book, you know, is on my site. But this one is, holla at me to get this one. info@720astrology.com. The book is $30. You see it on the back, $29.90 $29.99. I'm selling it for what it is, but I'll just ask you for a couple bucks extra for what you call them, for mailing it, for my postal fee. It costs me about $10 to mail these, unless I do it slow mail through what you call them, media mail. So you give me, we'll $35 is what we'll make those at. But email me, and what it does is it helps us go back to the studio. Because I'm trying to get all my art out. My astrology is art. My music is art. My books, artwork. My t-shirts. My goal is to get all my art out, because I feel that it's man, let me tell you something. I had a friend try to play me some bullshit he did with AI. I'm like, man, look, and it's hard to sit and listen to some shit like that when you write lyrics. My man actually makes the beats, and I can't get with it. And it was just trash. It was some shit about in the club. I'm like, man, we almost 50 years old. And you putting out some bullshit about in the club. And it's just, and I can't lie. I can't lie to somebody but that's type shit like that frustrates me. And I feel like people like that got all the time in the day to create bullshit. Don't run no bullshit by me. I'm not co-signing on that bullshit. I'm trying to encourage people to do art. And what I mean is, I'm not saying don't use AI, but I'm saying don't to me, that's an insult. I want, put something of you into your art, something that can't just be duplicated. I want to make sure I clarify what I'm saying. I'm not coming down on people for using AI. Like, I got the little thing I did with the some of the thing I did with my man, oh, I can't remember. He made the cartoon for me, and he's learning how to use AI. So I'm not coming down, but maybe it's just the way that this dude did it. Put it that way. Cause I heard my man Hank Rising Sun, he did this AI song, and okay, I was like, that's dope. I like that. But I still think we need to be careful, though, that it could be a slippery slope. Right? And before you know it, we'll be sitting back talking about, you remember when we used to actually use our voice? Like, yeah, that was back in, what was that, back in 26? Yeah, that was a time. And that's when we would have known better. I'm afraid of that. That don't get hooked into the convenience, right? That's what I'm talking about. But this is Janelle. I want to introduce you all to Janelle. I was over here grinning like a fat kid with cake. She sent me an email to let me know that she has started this new retreat, surf soul retreats. I'm going to share this. I want to share this site. Let's see if I can share this. I want to show y'all this. Share screen. Share screen. How do I do that? All right. Where's that at? Where's she at? Window. Y'all give me 1 second. There it is. Okay. Here's a website. Surf Soul. Free up yourself. 7 nights, 8 women, 1 ocean. Portland, Jamaica. This is for November 16th through 23rd. This is Janelle Wright. Like I said, this is one of my clients. I've been working with her for a couple years, and you know, she is a spirit that was designed for adventure, you know, and it was just there's something to be said about being able to see somebody manifest something. It makes you feel empowered, you know, because it makes you feel like, damn, it's encouraging and it's humbling just to see somebody do that, you know. So this is the work she put in. Like, you've done everything right, the career, the family, the responsibilities you stepped up to, because that's what you do. You take holidays, but they never quite fill you back up, and you come home more tired than you left. The roles that once felt like choices have started to feel like a box. The inner pull towards something more just keeps getting louder, that you can't ignore it any longer. Something is missing. Not a thing you can point to, but a version of yourself you've been putting on hold. You keep thinking maybe next year, maybe when things settle. They don't settle. You know that now. This isn't a midlife crisis. This is a decision. Now, backdrop, Janelle is around my age, right? So she's I know her story, and I know this is where this is coming from. It's not phony, you know. So I would encourage y'all, go over and just look at this for yourself. This is self or surfsoulretreats.com. Beautiful website. Um, and this is women centered, right? So it's kind of like that safe space type of environment. But I encourage y'all, go over and check it out. Surfsoulretreats.com. That's my girl Janae. Janelle. I'm sorry. Um Boy, I tell you. Mic check. Am I here? Am I live? One, two, 1, 2. Can y'all hear me? Somebody give me a 1. Okay. Strange things. All of a sudden, my internet just went out. Very strange. Okay, so we're back. So yeah, go and check out Janelle. Okay, thank you, Shade. Yeah. So let's see. Has your creativity been increased lately? I don't know if that's for the chat. Has y'all creativity? Have you all been feeling more creatively juiced lately? I have. And if I don't get it out in some form or fashion, it's frustrating. Yeah. But look, tomorrow, y'all go RSVP over at the link. Come and join us. Can I explain the artwork? So okay, that's a good question there. Let me I'm gonna move something real quick so I can it's like the strange drag here with this. Okay, the artwork. Little subtle things here. Okay. So, of course, the scenery is supposed to be a recreation of when you watch First 48. Y'all familiar with the First 48? In the First 48, Detective H.P. Sippenwich talked to little Buggy Boo. You know, so we reversed it. So we have the kind of what's the game Monopoly looking character who's the criminal now, and we're interrogating him and all of the stereotypical things. We've got the grape soda. He's, for him, he's got the menthol cigarettes. He's got the bucket of chicken with the grease dripping out of it. Reversed all of the stereotypes and superimposed it onto the fat cat, right? Mr. Moneybags. That's right. Now, my man Dap does the production. So I had our artist, has him with a beat machine, right? So, and this is representing what I keep talking about as far as art. We're seeing the art as a form of resistance against an entity that needs to be repelled, right? And of course, I represent the MC and I have a scroll, and I've got the quill pen. And that's actually like an Easter egg, cause in one of the songs, I think it's Fuzzy Lines. The left hand hold a quill pen dipped in black ink. I can't remember what the rest of it is. And so you see, it's like I've written on the scroll, it says, the empire has fallen. And we created the light to shine down in a pyramid structure. You see how the light is kind of illuminating in like a pyramid. And when you look at the dominance hierarchy, it's typically represented in a pyramidal structure, right? So we're playing around with some of the little symbolism here. Yeah, but hopefully that answers your question. I'm glad you asked that, Faye. That's why we, set this up the way it did. Symbolism. The common man gets attacked through symbolism all the time and doesn't even know it, right? They reverse roles in movies so much, and it's so slick how it's done. And, it feeds the subconscious with a certain line of thought that it wants the subconscious to pick up, so we needed to flip the script. So once again, I'm asking y'all those who rock with us, the link is in the description. Go over RSVP and join in with us tomorrow night. I'm going to see if I can go live on StreamYard and if I can share the listening party over here too. I'm going to see if I can do that, because that would be cool. So anybody got any questions before we wrap up about, once again, email me info@720astrology.com if you want to get a copy of my book, The Lies Behind the Tides. It is a historical, metaphysical, linguistic book. What else? I told you about the tomorrow. Okay, I think that's I'm gonna be running a special on my readings on my site starting, what's today? The 19th. Hopefully I can get that set up to run over the weekend. I'm going to do some pretty good discounts. Run a sale on my readings on my site for the 3 days of the solstice, summer solstice sale. But I'll give y'all details tomorrow when I come back on. But I appreciate y'all rocking with me, joining in this evening, impromptu per usual. And we're gonna close out with one of our tracks here off of Dominance Hierarchy. Let's see. We'll go with the title track. Listen to these lyrics after I've explained the artwork. Listen to the lyrics. It is me writing through the lens of this degenerated energy.
Yo, somebody must get stepped upon for me to squeeze my corns in these Allen Edmonds. Patent leather with the satin comma bond. James Bond aura, accent from across the pond. Parsimonious, the bread quite frugal. That's what keep the cupboard full. There's chips in my bugle. The coffer spill ridiculous. The peacoat meticulous. A packer on the collar, glow on the pinky and wrist. Davidoff cigar, no smoke in the dubbar. The king with two eagle heads, a palm like I'm Jabbar. Kareem is a Kareem through the city like a dream. The peasants pay me homage like I'm Jesus on the scene. I'm clean, but in the inside I'm dirty. Responsible for taking out a whole country by the age of 30. That was like work, no blood on my shirt. Now at night I can't sleep, cause with Beelzebub I flirt. He pays well, but in the end I get jerked. My woman don't respect me, she's with me for the power. Inhale a block of sour just to pass miserable hours while I medicate my pain locked away in glass towers. Dominance, hierarchy, bourgeoisie, oligarchy. The art of being a failed copy of a carbon copy. Illuminated still lack the light of a Kaminaki. The plot is sloppy, still I press on. Without the scepter in my hand I might get stepped on. The breastplate that my crest on, I know belong to the man the sun rests on. Dominance, hierarchy, bourgeoisie, oligarchy. Kleptomania fuels my rage, I'm cocky. While underneath, ironically, I feel oddly estranged from nature. Netta's yes sir. If Gaia is a broad, then I'm upset with her. She's left me in the mountains to the beasts I was served. Had to fight for my life when the ice age occurred. When I emerged, covered in thick fur, my eyes turned cobalt and my vision got blurred. My woman I would hit with a stick, that was it. Didn't understand the hips and the sag of her tits. Then I became angry, the story gets grainy. My dominance mainly, the result of neat and taming. Till that I'm aiming at a target that is flaming. Dominance, hierarchy, bourgeoisie, oligarchy. The art of being a failed copy of a carbon copy. Illuminated still lack the light of a Kaminaki. Dominance, hierarchy, bourgeoisie, oligarchy. The art of being a failed copy of a carbon copy. Illuminated still lack the light of a Kaminaki.